All right, so you got your ruler, line up using the 0. Okay, I'm going to go in a 1/2 inch because we're doing 10 inches wide on an 11.5 paper, so we'll have a 1/2 inch on either side. So I'm going to make my little mark. I'm going to come down here to 10.5. I know that's just slightly off camera. There you go. So there is the 10.5. Okay, I'll balance that for you. When you're drawing your line, yes, make sure it's lined up here, but also hold your ruler in the middle and then go from your 1/2 inch where you made that first mark, clear down to the other side, to the other, to 10.5. Okay, so you have a 10-inch line. Then you can take your ruler, and we're going 7 inches. One of my little objects. We're going 7 inches. So this is at the 1/2. It makes it easier for you. You can line up at the 1 if measuring is not your thing. But I'm just going to go ahead and go from here, from the 1/2. And I'm going to measure all the way down to 7.5. Okay, because I am going from the 1/2 inch. So I'm just adding a 1/2 inch onto what I want, which is going to go down here to the 7.5, which I know is going to be slightly off camera. So just trust. Okay, I've got my line there. And I'm going to come down here, do the same thing again. Line up. You'll see it starts there at the 1/2 inch. I'm going to go to 7.5. I'm holding my ruler down, spacing my fingers out so that way it stays in one place and holds the paper at the same time. And then when I turn my paper and I line up again, actually go this way, just be able to see it all. Okay, so we're going to start here. This is slightly off, so it's going to turn the paper a little bit, which means I'm probably going to be off on my angle a little bit, but hopefully we're close enough. Okay, so then I've got my 7 by 10 inch box. Okay, so along here, now I'm going to start at my 0. So you see that's 10 inches long. And I'm going to go and mark every inch. Now here's a trick. If this is slightly off, you do not want to flip your paper around. Okay, slide your ruler down, because then if there's something off, it's going to end up off on the same side. So I'm sliding it down. I'm not flipping my paper. I'm going to line this up again, make sure that it's not lined up nice. Starting at the 0, going clear down here to the 10, and then I'm going to mark every inch again. Okay, now that I have those marked on both sides, I'm just going to take my ruler, and here's the important thing. You make sure you line it up, make sure you can see that it's lined up properly. And here's the important thing. If you don't listen to anything else, listen to this. Draw your lines lightly. I'm going to hold my pencil way back here so I have very little pressure. I'm just barely going to drag it across, just so it's a very, very faint line. Hopefully you can see how much lighter that line is than the border. The border's going to stay. These lines will not. And you're going to go to your next one, line up, make sure everything's lined up perfectly, and drag it across. And then repeat that all the way down. And keep the ruler in the same spot and just move the paper up. But draw lightly. Okay, and then you're going to repeat the same thing on the sides. I'm going to line this up. Make sure that it makes a 7 down at the bottom. And then go and mark every inch. I mark every inch. I'm going to, again, slide my ruler over. I'm not turning the paper. Lined up the 7 and the 0. We'll mark every inch. This is going to go off for you guys a little bit off camera. I have marked every inch. And now I can go and line up my ruler. Both marks. Make sure you do line it up at both marks. That way it's straight. I'm just going to barely draw that line. Nice and light so it can be erased later on. Both marks. If you don't line up both marks, you're liable to get a crooked line, which is going to throw your entire grid off, and it's not going to be good. And then your whole grid won't make sense. Okay, so then I have my 7 by 10 inch grid. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And along the top, I should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. I would recommend, if you get lost easily within a grid, go ahead and number these and letter these. So I'm going to number across. And do letters down the side. So I have 1 through 10 and A through G down along the side. And then when I go to my photograph, I will be able to grid.